Could the president of Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, be moving to the front lawn of a house in Englewood, New Jersey? Plans seem to be moving forward to allow Muammar Gaddafi, who is the president of Libya, to stay at that house in Englewood, which is owned by the government of Libya, while the UN General Assembly meets next month. The folks in Englewood are not happy about this at all, including the next-door neighbor to the house that's owned by the Libyans. I am joined now. He lives right next door to this house, to the Libyan mission. He's a former advisor to Michael Jackson, a family counselor, and a spiritual leader, Rabbi Shmuley Boteach. Rabbi Shmuley, welcome to Good Day New York.
Thank you very much for having me.
You live right next door. First of all, is this really going to happen?
Well, this was a property that has been derelict for the 10 years that I've lived here. It was just a neighborhood eyesore. They have poured millions upon millions of dollars into this property. Remember, this is a government that refuses to pay even $1 of local tax. So they've poured millions of dollars for this one-week visit by Qadaffi. And we're going to do everything possible to ensure it doesn't happen. Qadaffi is an abetter and funder of international terrorism. Qadaffi is not a friend of the United States. Qadaffi is not a friend of the people of this neighborhood. And he does not deserve a visa to enter the United States, and he should not be in our neighborhood. This is a man who just a few days ago lionized and championed the cold-blooded, cowardly killer of 270 people aboard Pan Am 103. I don't want Qadaffi as my neighbor. I don't want his Libyan security agents peering into my home. I am raising my children here. Yeah. You will see they cut down my trees behind me, Greg, so that his security people can monitor me, and we could live without that.
Rabbi Shmuley, what specifically can you do? We have sympathy for you. Nobody wants this kind of scene moving right next door, particularly lately after that horrific scene in Tripoli when he welcomed home that terrorist. What can you do specifically to prevent this from happening? What's underway, if anything?
Well, the nice thing about living in the United States, Greg, as opposed to living in Libya, is that we have rights. So we can demonstrate publicly, we can raise a firestorm, we can show the Libyan government, and indeed our American elected representatives, that there will be hell to pay if Qaddafi moves into a nice, peace-loving, residential New Jersey community. The fact is that Qaddafi has to have a visa to enter the United States. Why would the Obama administration grant a visa to someone who just championed an international terrorist? Why would we want Qaddafi on our soil? So what we need to do, and what people unfortunately in countries like Libya cannot do, is protest our government's decision to allow him into the United States. And even if he is coming to the UN General Assembly opening, then he should be confined to the UN compound. In fact, I have an idea. Let him pitch his Bedouin tent on a barge in the middle of the Hudson River, where he can't do any harm. But I don't want his terrorist buddies moving in next door to me.
Rabbi Shmuley, you know what? That might be an idea that'll take. But you know what? What you mentioned about denying the visa, practically speaking, there's no way to do this. Going back to the Bush administration, they normalized relations. Libya officially is no longer, according to the list that they maintain, no longer a state sponsor of terrorism. Full diplomatic relations exist. Condoleezza Rice visited Libya. President Obama, who won Englewood with 78% of the vote, shook Muammar Gaddafi's hand just a few months ago. So practically speaking, do the folks in Englewood realize that, you know, there's really no turning away Muammar Gaddafi, at least from the soil of the country? Not sure about Englewood, but we can't tell him not to come here. Apparently there's no legal grounds to do that.
People are always known by their actions. Everything that you just said applies to the past. Now that Qaddafi bought al-Magrahi and championed him as some sort of returning conqueror, when really he's a cold-blooded, cowardly killer who had a bomb planted on an airliner, everything has changed. I would be amazed if our president welcomed Qaddafi to the United States. Everything has changed. Look, if Qaddafi really had changed his stripes, I would have shown him real American hospitality. I wrote a column last week when we discovered Qaddafi was coming to our neighborhood, that if he offered a public statement of friendship to the state of Israel, because there's 600 Orthodox Jewish families living all around here, I would have invited him for tea at my house. But now he has shown his true colors. He is a lover of terrorists. He's a supporter of terrorists. He's an abetter of terrorists. I don't want a terrorist as my neighbor. No one would. I find myself in a very strange situation trying to raise my children with the right values, 9 kids in this home. For them to have to live with Qaddafi and the security people as my next door neighbor, you'll see that you can see straight into the house. There were trees that completely screened my property from the Libyan property. I woke up one morning, they cut those trees down without informing, without obtaining my consent. They then removed my fence. And you're not even speaking about people who've shown any courtesy. They didn't tell us that Qaddafi was coming. And I also want to know, Greg, the city officials who run this town, who knew Qaddafi was coming how long ago? They seem to have greenlit and fast-tracked this entire construction project? Why weren't the local residents told that a security risk of Qaddafi's caliber was coming to town? A lot of questions need to be answered. This is a democracy, and we're going to demand answers.
Well, we had Mayor Wilds on yesterday, and he was as irate as you about the pending visit. He's doing what he can. He told us, looking at zoning issues to prevent the visit. And we will point out the Obama administration, they do seem genuinely spooked by that celebration that happened in Tripoli, warning that if anything similar happens, they'll have profoundly negative consequences. Unclear what that means. But, hey, let me just ask you this finally. Before they took down the fence, over the past couple of years, what kind of neighbors were the Libyans to Rabbi Shmuley?
First of all, I live by my Bible's dictum in the first chapter of Genesis, second chapter of Genesis, man is created in the image of God. We're all equal. I wanted to reach out very warmly to my Muslim brothers and sisters who were my neighbors. But there was no one to reach out to. This was a derelict property. It was nearly abandoned. The Libyan government simply left it as an eyesore. We couldn't even ride our bikes past the sidewalk out in front of that house because there was so much overgrowth. There was no gardener to cut anything. I don't know if $10 was actually invested in that property, but when you're a dictator of a country, it's nice to be the king. They will spend millions and millions of dollars for your one-week visit. All the life that you see behind me is all for a one-week visit for Gaddafi to put up a tent. That's astonishing. I don't know the levels of poverty in this country. What I do know is they have not paid $1 of taxes. Now, since this community is comprised largely of Orthodox Jewish families, so our money is sort of supporting the Libyan embassy. Fair enough. Just be good neighbors. If your head of state is coming to the city, you must inform us well in advance. You must tell us if you want to pull down my fence and cut down my trees. You need to talk to me. And more than anything else, if you're going to bring a cold-blooded, cowardly killer to your state and you're going to put him on your shoulders and dance around as if he's Mother Teresa, just know you're not exactly going to have a very friendly welcome, because we are decent people in this neighborhood. We believe in America's values. We believe in the value of human life. The highest value is the infinite value of every human life. Libya is showing contempt for that life.
Okay, Rabbi, we got to go. I'm sorry.
Rabbi, senators
Rabbi Shmuley, I got to go. I'm sorry, we're out of time. But I know I hate to cut you off, but we are out of time. Thank you very much. Let's check in with you again. And we did invite a member of the Libyan mission to come on and comment. They said they were unavailable. Rabbi Shmuley, keep in touch. Thank you.